What's good, party people? This is your friendly neighbor, Chad the Maverick, back again with another video. We are in a new year. New year has finally started. We're in a new actual decade. Life has changed so dramatically in the past 2 weeks for the whole entire collective due to this whole pandemic virus situation. Everyone knows about it. Everyone is now on quarantine as well, at least in the state that I'm living in. And it's kind of like, hey, everything that existed before, businesses, everything that existed before as far as jobs and such, gone. Just right underneath us. And we're actually seeing the cataclysm of how capitalism is perceived on an overall basis. But that is harder to do with this video as well, because it's Saturn and Aquarius, which is just starting right now. So, first and foremost, if you're new to the channel, welcome, subscribe. You have nothing else to do right now. Make sure you like this video, make sure you share this video. We're all in this collectively, like literally. We are all in this together. But just to see how Saturn, the last bits of Capricorn, 29 degrees is when things started to really shift as far as like people got laid off. I know where I'm at, I'm in California, but all the businesses in LA, all the restaurants, everything shut down. You can't even go into a grocery store right now with more than 3 people at a time because there's other workers. There's only 10 people that are allowed in the whole entire grocery store. Like, who would have thought that? Oh wait, astrologers thought that, because astrologers knew something was up with that Saturn and Pluto conjunction that was coming through. That happened January. January is when things started to like slip a little bit. I was just told that was when the first inclinations of the actual virus cure started, was in January and such like that. But that's Pluto and Saturn. Now look at where we at. Like, astrology is a thing. But anyway, aside from all of that, what this video is going to mostly be about is Saturn and Aquarius and a new moon in Aries that's coming up. So with Saturn going into Aquarius, we're literally seeing society crumble. Like society, or at least not necessarily society crumble, but the perception of, hey, we have everything under control, hey, everything's going to be okay. We are literally watching that crumble. It's gone. It's one of those things where we're starting to actually see and notice that everyone has made this shift now to where everyone was working before. Everyone's now on the internet. And I always say that Aquarius energy represents the internet, and just the 11th house is representative of the internet, the interconnective, the interweaving. Saturn going into Aquarius is bringing this 11th house space energy into the collective, and now it's actually becoming a firmament. Saturn rules this notion of cementing. The cementing of things, the complete formation of what that's supposed to be. So Saturn going into Aquarius, we're now going to start seeing how we're going to start literally using the internet as a means for most communications, for most jobs and businesses, for almost everything. Because now we're going to have to like really make the shift over to the point where if this actual thing goes on for long enough, and I know Saturn is going back into Capricorn in July, if I'm not mistaken. But what this is ultimately doing is making us separate and leave the structures that we used to know. Right? In Capricorn, the structures that we know, the structures that we're supposed to go by, the laws we're supposed to like originally go by, and the things in society that we're going through. And now this is all completely obliterating, and in the shock of this Aquarius energy, we're going into the new thing, the next step. Aquarius is a very revolutionary tendency. It is very skeptical of what it's told. Aquarius doesn't believe what is told. Aquarius knows what someone's saying when someone tells them a specific something. Aquarius is like, oh, yes, I know this, right? And this is what this like Saturn and Aquarius is kind of going to do, because we're going to have this sense of knowing as we enter into this Aries season. Because mind you, the first thing happening after the sun is going into Aries is this Saturn entering Aquarius. And that's not only that, but it's going to also be conjuncting, sextiling this energy, right? While the new moon is about to happen on the 24th. So this is the reason why I wanted to touch on Saturn before I really break in and dive into this new moon in Aries, which is going to completely obliterate whatever false sense of identity that you used to have. Like straight up. It's sad, it just sounds like that, but it's for real, like it's gone. Because what's going on with this? On the 24th, we have the new moon in Aries, 4 degrees. I looked up the chart for it, handy dandy. But what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be breaking down the actual day of the new moon to show what energies are impacting it and what this new moon phase is going to all be about and bringing before the full moon phase on the set. There'll be a separate video for that. But the sun and moon are making its conjunction on the new moon in the 11th house. Remember how I was mentioning the 11th house beforehand with the Saturn and Aquarius, right? What this Saturn and Aquarius is doing is legitimately bringing out the true colors of every person that you probably know, straight up. The reason why is because Aries rules identity. Aries also rules the mind. Aries is the rulership of what does the mind know? How does the mind perceive? The reason why I say it's the mind, it also rules the head, as most people know. But Aries' mind is very connected to who they are because it's always the first thought. The first thought is usually typically the Aries' first move that it would naturally want to make. That's the impulse, right? Your mind has an impulse. Your mind gets the idea and wants to do it. Aries is this is immediately happening because this is the mindset that's going on. That's why most Aries are seen in this way where they're more so focused on what they identify with and what they feel in that exact moment. That's so quick. That's a spark. That's why Aries are very fast to do it, fast to go about it. With the sun and moon going on in the 11th, this is bringing this upgrade to people's minds. It's either people need to get onto the wave of who they really are and their purpose and why they want to do the things they do and their talents and their skills and their portion and how they feel in society and they're part of the collective. People want to get tapped into that feeling during this new moon, or you're kind of screwed. And what I mean by this is if you know this is happening, that's fine. And I'm not trying to fearmonger. There's no fear in this. But just listen to me when I say what I'm saying. We have Chiron and Lilith conjunct this new moon that's going on. Chiron is the wounded healer. Lilith is the essential female counterpart to Adam in mythology is the wrong term, but she's the counterpart to Adam before she gets kicked out of paradise and Eve becomes the woman from Adam's rib, right? Lilith represents the first true divine feminine aspect before any other divine feminine aspects kind of happen, right? So this is both on this. So here's the thing. The wounds that we have when it comes to our ego, when it comes to our mind, when it comes to how we identify into the world are being completely and utterly triggered. Whether this be from an external influence because of everything that's going on in the world, or whether this be an internal influence because people are stuck on quarantine and inside of their house, right? Inside their own space, being forced to go within. And the inside is the identity. And that's what Aries season is bringing out. Who are you for real? Like, what do you really represent? You know, everything aside, who are you? And I mentioned this last year. Last year, if you watch that new moon video, it's pretty cringy, but I was like, who are you, right? Like, who are you really, you know? And that's part of the thing. Last new moon in Aries, I was like, I'm an astrologer. You know, I was like, I'm an astrologer. Like, I have the inclination for it. I know the things for it. I'm an astrologer. Like, and now, what am I? An astrologer. You know? It's like, you being able to state that and be like, this is a part of me, right? That's what this Aries season is coming through. But now we're not like at our jobs. We're not at, or some people still have their jobs, thankfully. Most people that I personally got laid off just because of the coronavirus outbreak. I know a lot of other people personally, anyone in the service industry laid off. And it's not like personal. I took no offense to any of it. When it happened for me, I know how it's going for the whole entire world, and there's people that are in way worse situations. So with that being said, it's one of those things where it's like everyone is really being forced to take a look at themselves. This is the biggest look in the mirror that the universe is actually promoting right now. Who are you? What are you bringing to the table? And now that this new world is starting with the Saturn in Aquarius, how are you going to be able to bring your best self into that scenario, right? How are you going to bring you into this new world and this new paradigm, which is being shown to you? Most of the time, people talk about astrology. No one believes it because, oh, we can't back it up. Like, you watch anything from astrology between January of 2020 to right now, and I guarantee they were talking about that Saturn and Pluto conjunction really making changes on the global front, on the large scale view of how people see structures, how people see politics, and how people see the bigger picture when it comes to those type of corporations. CEOs are stepping down from corporations now, or they have stepped down. This whole outbreak's going on. Capitalism is falling. Freaking airlines are now charging $12 to take a flight that might be infested. It's insane right now. But we actually are seeing this sort of cataclysm happen that's going on. So Saturn in Aquarius is, okay, new structure. Everything else is done, right? We clean house. Is gone. Now this new structure is going to be about how are we going to best communicate on these online matters? How are we best going to communicate on a bigger scale, on a social media scale? How are we going to be, pushing what we can do, what we can really offer, not what your friends think you could do, what you know you could do. If you are an expert at crocheting, but you used to work for some office, you better start crocheting. Really start crocheting, really get it popping, because there's going to be a time where it's like, hey, now that I'm connected to everyone else, let me start selling my crochet work online. Now there's going to be more people doing that. And you might even make a business where you are making more money, more anything, than you would have been had you still been working in this old world that just was happening, right? Now, don't get me wrong. It's not an easy thing. This is Chiron we're talking about. Chiron does not pull any punches. This is going to really make you have to sit with yourself and really draw out what gets you passionate, what gets you going, what gets you started. Because, like I said, these are the integration points that are happening. Also, it's going to be Mercury. Mercury's going to be in the 10th house when this new moon happens. And what that's going to pretty much be entailing is your dreams have to be fulfilled. Because if you don't fulfill this dream, you trying to identify with something that is not a part of you is going to actually end up manifesting and turn into your nightmare. Like this, that's not what you're going to do. So that's why it's so important to where it's like really tap in, hone in, sit with yourself, right? Venus is going to be in the 12th house, right? Venus is going to be in the 12th house, 20 degrees Taurus. So what this is pretty much doing is showing this touch into the universe is trying to move our heart spaces into finding the value within ourselves in comparison to the external. Mars and Jupiter is going to be in the 9th house. So this is a complete time where it's about really finding things to learn, really getting and identifying with new knowledge, really getting and identifying with the power that we personally have, right? And with Saturn is going to be in the 9th house in 0 degrees as this new moon starts. It's still completely 0 degrees. So what we're needing to do is outside of just like us tapping into ourselves, we need to learn more about the things that we're starting to identify with. This is legitimately like the universe is having this like almost forced study time. Like, you know, when like if there was like, I don't know, for people who've like had snow around before, right? If there was a snow day, but you still got to sign work, so it's just like, well, I might as well just like sit here and read it, or just even like studying something that you want to do. Like, this is a very open world. The world is opening in a way so crazy, and I can't wait until like July where people are able to actually see the effects of what's going on right now, just at a big scale, because you know things are changing, and we have to change with it so we get more tapped into ourselves. And the whole point about this is finding the value in ourselves in order for us to be able to manifest and create off of this value that we ended up instilling. In this Uranus in Taurus, what it's doing is it's also shifting. This has already been a New World paradigm. We're hitting 4 degrees of Uranus in Taurus now. So now it's a solidification of this Taurian energy. And as you can see, the Earth is kind of giving itself a quick like reset in order for its inhabitants to get shit together. Well, yeah, the moral of the story is, if you take nothing else from this video, it's time to tap into you and who you are. And I barely touched on the Lilith part, but what this is pretty much entailing is like, despite our good and bad, who are you? This is what this Aries season is about. Like, all shades of who you are, all different hues, all the different colors that make you of who this is for you. Like, who's this for you? That's what's happening right now. And it's going to pull through. And this is going to be the same energy that's going to be kept until this full moon phase. But first we have to tap into who we are. Our unconscious, our deep primal, our Maverick sensibilities of who we are, though, you know? So that's one thing. New moon's in Aries, I'm Maverick. Matter of fact, new moon in Aries, my music, Maverick Star. That is an identification of who I am, right? Music is a huge part of who I am. I want to be putting more out to the people, because at this point I've worked 4 or 5 years just directly on like the stuff that I'm working right now. So that's a part of this. That's a part of who I am. So now you got to think of, that's something where it's like, oh, you might not have known that. You might have only known the astrology, right? But now people are like, oh, I only knew that you worked for this office. I didn't know that you knew how to make pottery and you're a beast at it. Okay, put the pottery that you're working on, it's the forefront now, right? That thing that you really were about and you always loved, the forefront now. And Saturn and Aquarius, as time progresses, is going to start rewarding people that have gotten into this this bigger sense of themselves and their bigger parts, because as people are doing this, they're becoming a greater asset to society and a larger part of what the collective is trying to do as a whole for everyone, especially the people that are living at least like in the countries and areas that are really able to do it. So that's about it for at least that part. I'm gonna have more videos about more specific things in between, or things that might come up, maybe even just like some straight vocal stuff. Also doing some classes coming soon on here. Also some webinars for that. Outside of that, I have my natal chart readings are more open than ever. So hit that up, chadthemaverick.com. The link's in the description down below. And yeah, aside from that, I hope everyone really takes this quarantine time. First of all, stay inside as much as you can. And if you do go out, just make sure you have like the actual distance between people. Like really take that into account, because you don't know how that could affect not only you, but the people that are around you and the people that you love. So just be very mindful, be very to yourself, not very to yourself in like a bad way, but just make sure that you're good and you're set, so everyone else around you can be set, and things can end up panning out in the best favor for not only you, but for everyone else around. But that's it. Signing off. Have a good one.